Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov gang. Tonight, our tough and streetwise and intellectual gang members are Dr. Karen Siegemund, the president of Rage Against the Media, an organization committed to fighting against the corruption and politicization of our mainstream media and ensuring that the truth be told. Dwight Schultz, the man, the myth, the legend, Hollywood actor who played Murdoch on NBC's The A-Team, Barkley on Star Trek The Next Generation. He is still losing weight and undefeated in 53 fights in underground fight clubs in Los Angeles, Watts, and South Central. And last but not least, Becca Keating, founder of Keating Connections and author of the new book, The Secrets of Powerful Communication, Confronting the Bully Within. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Glazov gang.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glad
It
to
is
be
such
here.
an honor to have you here, and especially our new gang members, Dr. Siegemund and Becca Keating. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Dwight, you must feel very nervous, surrounded by such
Surrounded.
beauty,
Yes.
beauty and intellectual ability.
Yes, I am. I'm slightly jittery.
Gang members, first let's begin with a few in-house matters. Becca,
Yes. Sir.
new book out, The
Yes.
Secrets of Powerful Communication, Confronting the Bully Within. I was reading it, and it made me aware that my staff and my producer, Annie, director of photographer, Reza, are bullying me constantly.
Oh no.
Right.
Anne-Marie Morel bullies me a lot on this show, and so does Dwight, so you've educated me a lot. Tell us a little bit about your book and what it tells us.
Well, I think it's quite a unique book. There's lots of books out on communication, but this one narrows in on that bully within, where the dialogue that's going on inside your head is one of the biggest areas of communication that's not always addressed. So even though we go over the parts of different kinds of communication, like body language and rolling of the eyes, things like that, and the way we smile or the way we frown,
You're a good
our
actress.
tone, thank you, or the way we maybe the words that we choose that are harsh or very kind. Anyway, it goes through all those different types of things. But I think the most critical thing that this book contrasts in any other book is that bully within that we need to deal with, so that we're not bashing ourselves and promoting success in all that we do.
Becca, the
Yes, sir.
left is a major bully.
Major bully.
The Obama administration bullies the American people. For instance, how Obama makes his appointments, for instance. It's a little bit of a middle finger, I would say, to the American people. The way that the media does not ask any questions and brainwashes us with, for instance, jihad denial, et cetera, et cetera. How can we tie in a little bit about what you're saying with leftist bullying? Also, for instance, in academia, the way
Yeah,
professors
absolutely.
indoctrinate their students, et cetera.
Absolutely,
What's
yeah.
a brief thing you
Well, I
could tell
think
us about
the first
that?
thing is we need to realize that it's happening, and you know, it's like duh, but when the media particularly is giving us a narrative, is it true? Is it right? And to have something which to measure it, and it's so great now to find that there are so many different ways that we're getting information now through the internet and other blogosphere and the like shows like this, where we're getting information so that we can know what is accurate, what is not, what is the bully, what is not a bully. But that push through, you know, the narrative that is pushed upon us, that's the over-the-top bullying that we as citizens can then begin to do those other things within, you know, the voting rights and
Right.
calling our senators and even activist group that we can rise up and begin to stop those things that that are bullying. Yeah.
Thank you, Becca. And I think that's the perfect transition to Karen, Rage Against the Media.
Right.
Because the media, leftist media, is bullying us. For instance, just by not even asking any questions about why 4 Americans died in Benghazi, why there hasn't been a military response, et cetera, et cetera. And I like the rage because we are upset that the right questions aren't being asked and that we're not being told the real story. Tell us a little bit about
Exactly right. And everything that you just said and that you just said are exactly why we started this organization. In fact, it was the morning of September 12th last year, realizing that our ambassador and these other 3 men were killed as a direct result of the Arab Spring that was brought to us, yes, by Obama and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, but also sold to us by the media that pretended as if this Arab Spring was peace, love, kumbaya. They all want Jeffersonian democracy, which is complete nonsense. And then what happened in Libya, as it started to unfold, just made me crazier and crazier, that it is the media that has brought us a narrative that is completely false, not only as regards the Arab Spring and Libya and not asking questions of Benghazi, but think about how they treat one candidate versus another candidate. Without the media, the junior senator, from Illinois would never have been the nominee, and so on and so forth. If you think back to what Ronald Reagan had said, it's not so much that our liberal friends don't know anything, it's that so much of what they know isn't true. Most of that, again, is because of the media. So they totally control the narrative. They do bully us either overtly or subtly through not asking the questions, as you say.
Thank you so much, Karen. Dwight, for instance, who did Obama just appoint as his national security advisor?
As his national security advisor?
Yes.
I don't know. Who?
Well, who's he promoting to that position?
Who?
Well, tell me.
I don't know.
Okay, Susan Rice,
Susan
right?
Rice.
No, he can't be.
So Dwight.
He can't, no, wait a minute, he can't be doing that.
Now, Dwight.
He can't be doing that.
Is that a
That's
form?
bad. Now, this is a joke.
But Dwight, that is a form of bullying the American people.
Listen.
Correct?
Yes, of course it is. From the very beginning, it's a form of bullying. Look, how did he start his campaign? He started his campaign by going out to those from whom he wanted to extract votes by saying, you know what Republicans will say about me? They will say, he has a funny name, a picture like his has never appeared on a dollar bill or a currency. Oh, and by the way, he's black. That's what this president said in his campaigns. He started campaigns that way, never publicized by the media. Not one time on any major network did anybody ever say that this president played the race card while he, and if you want to talk about bullying, how do you get out from under that rubric? Now, as an ordinary, he was talking about me, a Republican, because he said they. He used the word they, but he was talking about Republicans. I am a Republican, therefore I will use the race card and say, don't vote for him because he's black? No, that's how he started. And then he says, let's not coarsen the dialogue. Let's not do that. And so the media allows him to use words like, you're destroying American society, you're destroying freedom. He said that about Fox News, he said it about the Tea Party. But never a question of the president. Mr. President, what do you mean by using this kind of language when you say you don't want to coarsen the dialogue? He's never questioned. He can appoint Van Jones, an admitted communist. He can Cass Sunstein, who says that the United States must turn over 2 to 3 percentage points of its GDP to the rest of the world because of climate change justice. He can appoint these people who say we have to redistribute income around the world and never, ever answer for why he's done it.
And again,
he didn't appoint
to
Susan
the media.
Rice, right?
He
didn't appoint her.
And the media is not saying anything.
Right.
Very interesting, for instance, one of my issues, the jihad denial, the Tsarnaevs. Putin and the FSB, KGB, whatever you want to call them, got in touch with the FBI, got in touch with the CIA, telling them about Tamerlan, perhaps even his younger brother, his family.
Yes.
FBI, CIA don't do anything. But why? Because the words jihad and Islam and radical Islam have been taken out by the direction of the Muslim Brotherhood within the Obama administration, have been taken out of our intelligence training manuals. So imagine during the Cold War we're trying to find communist spies, but we're not allowed to use the word communist. My point is that they couldn't do anything about these guys because they can't even ask them if they believe in jihad. But our media is not talking about this at all.
Right.
And this is a form of bullying.
And who did he appoint to replace Susan Rice at the United Nations?
Power.
Samantha Power.
Yeah.
An anti-Israel, anti-American.
Yes.
And no questions. And also she's, well,
we're going to get to that.
Tell us how you
Thank you.
really feel.
Yeah, let's get to that.
Hold back.
And
but tell me it's not true about
speaking
Susan
about
Rice.
rage, we have justified rage here.
Yes.
Let us move on to the traitor, Edward Snowden. Becca, some of your thoughts on, there's some conservatives out there that, are saying, hey, this is a hero for letting us know what's going on in the Obama administration. This is a little bit complicated because at the same time, he did violate the Espionage Act.
Exactly.
No matter what the Obama administration's doing that's not good, we can't have a person selling us out and snitching on our secrets. He needs to be punished. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. And yet there's something about finding out the secrets. He exposed something that's going on, and we like that. We like to know the sneaky stuff that's going on in our government. But at the same time, he did it the wrong way. And he was in a position where he shouldn't have snitched. But what's more odd about the whole thing is, like, I don't really have all the information. I'd like to know more information, but I think it's just kind of odd, the timing of it, and that the Chinese, that he went off to Hong Kong, for one thing, instead of, going before the Senate like the others. But, and then the Chinese president was here. I mean, it was like all in one weekend, wasn't it?
So what are you saying?
Well,
What's
I'm
the
just
implication?
thinking it's kind of odd. So even though there are some Americans who think this is really great, he exposed some things that maybe we should know about, and yet he did it in the wrong way. I'm just saying. But go ahead.
Sorry for interrupting, but there's when the partisanship starts here, I find it really troubling because when we found out about when there were leaks during the Bush administration about some of the things that weren't happening, quote unquote, legally or without warrants and stuff, the left went crazy, called Bush a fascist, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Same thing's happening, or maybe worse or better or whatever, with Obama. Left doesn't say a thing. Conservatives defended Bush during the time, and I say legitimately because we were trying to protect ourselves from Al-Qaeda, et cetera. But some of them now, because it's happening under Obama, are attacking or trying to defend this snitch. So there's some double standards here. Karen?
I think that's really true. There was such a hue and cry by the liberals, by the Democrats under George Bush when he started with the Patriot Act. This is the Patriot Act on steroids, and yet now we're not hearing much from the Democrats against this at all.
Right.
Not in the slightest. And what we're actually seeing is there's two issues. There's, as you said, there's the issue of, yes, we'd like to know what's going on. And then there's the fact that this guy actually, he did violate the Espionage Act. Over a period of months, he was in conversation. I'm fine with whistleblowing. That's great. If you think there's something wrong, you should say something. Do not go to the foreign press about it. Do not even go to the Washington Post about it with a 72-hour deadline and demand, have all kinds of demands, and then when those demands aren't met, you go to the foreign press, flee to a part of China, and then hold it over everybody's heads. There's two very different things going on here. This wasn't the goodness of his heart. This wasn't, anybody who gave anything a whole lot of thought. Yeah. If you've signed, I used to have a top secret security clearance. You have to take this very seriously. Right. So another part of the problem is, why aren't they overseeing the people to whom they give top secret clearance?
Yeah, I was thinking about that
because this is not new. From this guy, he has voiced concerns in the past. So
and now, having said that, where I think some conservatives have Obama derangement syndrome, and the fact that since it's happening under Obama, they right away try to heroize a snitch and somebody that's hurting America, and that's wrong. Having said that, what's frightening happening under the Obama administration, since there's jihad denial, everybody is a suspect. Right. And so there's the problem is the surveillance happening to all American people rather than the appropriate suspects that we should be looking at?
Well, but
the real issue, if you go back to the Patriot Act, you see, Americans were not supposed to be under surveillance. It was all about foreign communication.
Right.
So the issue at this moment, first of all, this guy who was in this position for 3 months, who was also in the United States Reserve, not in the military, broke his legs, left and said everybody in the military, he was there because he wanted to save Iraq, but he only met people who wanted to kill Arabs. This guy hasn't said anything that I can verify. Not one thing. I do not know if any Americans are being surveilled. I do not. Exactly. And I don't know of anyone who actually can say yes. I've been watching the news every day. And I see everybody up in arms. This is Americans. It's metadata and every phone call. I don't know that that's the case.
Okay.
And so we really have to be careful. This guy, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen, especially going to Greenwald, who is a leftist Marxist international who hates the United States. As far as I'm concerned, this guy's a traitor. And everything else he said, I don't know if there's any truth to any of it.
You know, Dwight, you're always beating around the bush. You got to start saying what you really think. We've come to the end of our second segment, but we have a little bit of time. 30 seconds each, please. Your final words of wisdom. Becca.
Well, I think discernment. When the media tells us one thing, how do we decide whether that's accurate? Whether we've gotten all the information that that's really true and accurate. So it's a fine line, and I'm really, really glad that we have all those different angles of communication, like the blogging and the
Glazov gang.
Yes, so we can get our information and really know what's going on. Because from the media, I think it's very biased.
And that's why we have to rage against the media. Karen, last word goes to you.
Absolutely right. Before I came, I did a quick scan of all the major news outlets about this very topic and found that not one covered anything about the leaks. Not one covered anything about anything that we talk about. They're all about this poor guy. Yeah. So it's all, again, politics of people.
And guess what? And I said they're not doing their job. And a very wise man corrected me and said they are doing their job because they're doing Obama's job.
That's right.
And the media is like Pravda in the Soviet Union in America.
Who was that wise man?
Dwight Schultz. We'll be back for the second segment in just a minute. Join us then.